Welcome to Stories by You. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a special guest, and the discussion for today would be discovering your own unique spirituality. And Erik G is here with us, and we welcome him today to the show. He's a professional life coach that specializes in spirituality, in relationships, and self empowerment. He is also a holistic practitioner using Reiki and meditation at forefront of his practice. Erik was born and raised in Maryland. He loves sports. He also loves the outdoor. He spent much of his youth playing sports and the rest of it being in the nature. He's an avid outdoors man that incorporates nature most of his life and in his work. In the fall of 2021, Erik decided to start his own company, and the corporation is called Guiding Perspective LLC, in order to follow his dreams and helping people to reach their goal to be empowered and empower themselves and grow into their own unique spirituality. So before I go in and spoil too much about Erik, let's welcome him to the show. Thank you so much, Erik, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this a lot. I've seen a lot of your videos now, and I'm really excited to come on here and talk to you.
Thank you so much. And just I did say probably a lot about you, but I'm sure there's so much more. I cannot wait to hear more about you, and our audience is waiting to hear. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the spirituality.
Well, I think as a child, since I can remember, since I was young, I was always very curious. I had a extreme curiosity about everything, and I think I would always want to know the why behind everything. And it kind of led me into spirituality because when we all go through things like depression, anxiety, or things happen in our life, uh, you know, there's a reason why. And I always was never really quite satisfied with the basic reasons as to why, as the, oh, well, things just happen, or well, that's just how life is, or so on and so forth. Or even when people talk about the chemical imbalance behind things, I always wanted to know a deeper reason. And I think that kind of kicked me off. And I didn't call it spirituality then when I was younger necessarily. I didn't really call it anything. I just was very curious, and I always wanted to know anything from the spiritual, metaphysical, energetic reasons as to why, down to the psychological reasons. And I think the older I got, I kind of started to label that a little bit as spirituality and look more into faith, and instead of necessarily this very scientific way of explaining things. And I was very interested in the faith-based kind of ways of explaining things, and the holistic side of it. And it really got me motivated into spirituality because I was so inquisitive as to why we feel this way or why things happen to us. And it started me down my path that kind of ended up leading me to where I am now.
Isn't that crazy that when we're kids, kids always ask questions. They always want to know why, how, where. And we always go to say, you stop asking questions. So
Yeah.
we actually lose our curiosity as we get older, and we lose our ways. So I love that this happened to you. So who inspired you to do this spirituality?
Oh, well, this is such an interesting question because I think right off the bat, my mom. I grew up in a household that was very open-minded, and kind of like allowed me to believe what I wanted to believe, and really I didn't really grow up with much of a belief system so much, but my mom was very so much like, it kind of encouraged me to believe what I wanted to. And I know she had her own belief system, and she grew up in a very spiritual way, um, you know, in her household. And I think that kind of set me up for things. But in the older I got and the more I got into spirituality, I think who inspired me more than anything was anyone that I was involved in a negative situation with. Anyone that I felt hurt by, or anyone that I hurt or anytime I was involved in a negative situation. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that through those times, through feeling that darkness in things, I kind of was able to go inward and feel that pain behind something, but then figure out a way to lift up from it. And a lot of the times when I would hit that kind of that rock bottom and eventually come out of it, obviously when you're feeling bad, no one likes to feel bad, but it's when you start to come up, it's when you start to notice this freedom. And I think that's what really did it for me, was when I would feel free coming up out of those moments, and I would get this clarity and the sense of understanding, and some of the questions, some of the why questions would be answered as to maybe why I was feeling that way. So honestly, a lot of the times it would be those kind of situations with people. It'd be the situations where I would feel really bad about something, and I would kind of beat myself up over it, or I would feel hurt by something, and then I would figure out a way to free myself from that feeling and start to lift up and lift above it.
Wow. So you use the bad experiences, things that were so negative, for the good. So those experiences help us heal more than we know, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's all a matter of perspective. And I think once I really began to change my perspective on things and I began to see how any situation you can learn from, and how any situation you can gain this knowledge, this wisdom, and you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's really when I was the most inspired and kind of grew the most into developing my own perspective and my own sense of spirituality, and kind of feeling empowered and really getting that power within myself, and realizing through those times when I was lacking love in myself. And when I realized I was lacking it is more when I kind of decided to bring it in, and I would start to feel that love again. And I would start to feel like these people that I had these negative situations with, although, in the moment or whatever happened, it didn't feel like there was any love there. It didn't feel like, it was difficult situations. But if my perspective could be that even though this person might not know it, they really helped me love myself more and get through these situations. And this usually happens with time. It's not like an instantaneous thing. It's not always easy to do, but it's really funny to say how those people seem to inspire me more than anyone else, and I think in an unintentional way, but it definitely did.
And it's good to appreciate them. So a lot of times you think of someone, oh my God, I wish I would have never met them. But when you're in a good place and you're healthy now, you think back and say, my gosh, I'm glad they crossed path with me so I can learn something from it. So you're an inspirational. This is great. I wish I was around your age group and I figured that out earlier than later in my life. So I'm glad that you're here. And of course, for the audience that are younger, can learn something from you and your experience and can be inspired. So why life coach? Why did you choose that path?
Well, it's funny because I had an opportunity. Well, I think going back to when I was young, I always, since I was a child, I always wanted to help people. I always liked the idea of being a humanitarian. I liked the idea of being in service to others. It was always kind of a thing that really that I had a passion for. And I tried many different careers in that time period that didn't really work out for me because I didn't end up having a passion for those careers, but they were all along the line of being in service to others. And I was presented with the opportunity to be a life coach probably about 6 years ago. And I turned it down. And it was because I had this negative connotation of what a life coach was, of how it was someone who would run up on stage and be a yes man and be overly positive, and not that there's anything wrong with that. I just didn't feel like that was me. And I no one showed me that person. I don't know why I had that thought in my head. So I turned down that opportunity. But in 2020, during the pandemic, during the beginning of it, I lost my job, and my mom came up to me again with the same offer of, hey, you should really do life coaching, because I wanted to do something that was psychology related, but also holistic and spiritually based. And there was not really a title for that. It didn't really exist as a job. It wasn't like there was a something out there where I was like, that's what I want to do. So I realized a life coach can be so versatile, and you can kind of pick a niche, or you can pick many niches as to what you want to do. And I started to understand that this was almost like a calling. It almost popped up at the right time. Almost this like divine intervention just came in and was like, hey, here's this opportunity for you again. And it's during a perfect time. Look, now you have all the time. Everyone's indoors. You get a chance to take your classes and to learn everything that you can. And I really felt like now's the time. So I took that opportunity and I put the work into it. And a year later or so, here I am. And it's something that I'm so glad that it happened when it happened in the way that it happened. But it all stems down to wanting to be in service and wanting to help people, and my interest in the why, really letting my child come out during this time too, and almost that inner child that lives within us to kind of be my inspiration also behind this, the inquisitive young boy who just wanted to know why behind everything. And now I have an opportunity to help other people kind of figure out the same things and kind of gain perspective, and really just to talk about anything in a very non-judgmental kind of area where I can just assist in any way that I can. So it's just something that I'm so grateful for that's
Glad.
happened.
I'm so glad. I'm so thankful that your mom saw the gift in you. A lot of parents do see the gift, or in general, other people around you that care about you can tell what your gifts and talents are more than ourselves when what we see. So I'm glad that she noticed that and she brought it to your attention and you took that and tried it out. So tell us if there's anyone watching right now and they would say, my God, I want to know a little bit more about this spirituality journey. What would be something that you would tell those people? How do they start?
It's such a unique thing. And I think in my journey, in my 20s, I was really feeling like discovering people to listen to, reading different books, hearing perspectives from friends, people that I knew. And it was really easy for me to try to categorize myself, or to fall into a category, or to almost be a stereotype. And there was a lot of comparing that I did with me and other people of who's more spiritual, kind of a thing. And I think if I would have known then that I know now, and the message that I would give to people is like, don't worry about having to follow a group or having to follow an ideology. It's very unique, and people's spiritual journeys are so special to them that there is no need to compare yourself to anyone. There is no need to look at yourself as less than someone because someone might know more information about something than you. It's just about where you start, and your path is going to be unique to you. And it's fine to be inspired by people and to learn from people, but don't compare yourself to others on their journey. And don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not as spiritual as them, or you're not spiritual enough, because spirituality can be literally anything. There's no labels behind it. There's no rules. There's nothing. So it's one of those things where you can do anything you want to do. And if it helps you connect to yourself, connect to others, connect to the universe, connect to God, whatever you want to call it, that is beautiful, and that is spirituality. And I think that is something that I wish I would have been able to tell myself 10 years ago.
I love that. I love what you just said, because there is no way of doing things the wrong way. Just allowing ourselves to be loved, to be accepted, like for ourselves, not people around us. I think so many times we make the mistakes of we need to be accepted. People need to love us. Everyone needs to approve of us, our families, our friends. But we miss so much of where are we in this moment? Do I like myself? Can I look in the mirror and say every morning, I can do this. I can move forward. So yeah, whatever that can heal your soul, just do that. So I love what you said. A great, great feedback. Thank you so much for that. And if there is anyone out there want to get in touch with you, what would be the best form, Erik?
Well, people can visit my website. It's guidingperspective.com. That's where you'll see my business. You'll see all the services I provide. There's ways to get in contact with me there through email. I also have an Instagram page where I post a lot of videos where I talk about a lot of different kinds of issues. And that Instagram page is also called Guiding Perspective. And you can message me on there as well. But I'd be happy to hear from anyone or assist anyone with anything that they need.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who's watching. If there's anyone that has any question, as always, hit the like, put comments in, get in touch with me. I'll get you connected with Erik. Please subscribe, and we cannot wait to see you all next week. Again, thank you, Erik, with much love and support and success your way.
Thank you so much for having me. And it'd be great to do this again sometime also.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.